Welcome, everybody, to episode 1 of the Casting Couch. My name is Chunks, and joining me is Kovo and Saga. We're going to be breaking down PGC, going into it, starting in just a few days, actually. We're going to be starting off talking about the format a little bit, then predicting a couple of the teams we want to keep an eye on, and ultimately we're going to be wrapping up with our fantasy pick'ems, but we're going to be doing that a little bit different, so if you're just here for that, you can stick around or you can skip to the end. We'll leave a timestamp in the description, but... guys, what do we think of this format? Because it's something that we haven't really seen before, although to me it feels kind of reminiscent of PSL, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's we've got like the upper and the lower bracket, but we also have what Saga call like a middle bracket. So I think it's a really good format. Of course, you will have the players complain about the grand survival games. It is rough if you have 4 games to get a win to make it into finals. Obviously, that's rough.
I don't know,
but
man.
We have
if you're
lots of
playing
chances
Grand
before
Survival,
that, right?
Yeah, if you shit the bed that hard that you're playing Grand Survival, you don't have much of a chance to complain. But people have been asking for double elim in PUBG for a while, so we actually now have it in a way that sort of makes sense, which is cool. So obviously you've got the group stage for week 1, 2 groups, top 8 from each goes to the winner bracket, and so on. But the big thing is the fact in the losers bracket 1, so bottom 8 from each group in week 1 goes on to play, and then the top 8 goes on to the so-called middle bracket. But one of those teams, the 16th place team in losers bracket 1, is eliminated from the tournament, and that's like halfway through the second week. So that's really early to be losing our first team, and then we have the Grand Survival, which is going to kick out a whole lot more as well. So the stakes are high pretty much from the get-go in this, and it's really cool to see. But also, double elimination gives everyone that extra chance.
There's a lot of different chances, and I think it's a really nice way to make qualifiers more interesting is have bottom teams drop out, because otherwise you'll always get into that situation where there's 8 teams in the lobby that can't qualify anymore or can't win anymore. And having that extra pressure for the bottom teams to not get last is kind of interesting, I think, and should keep things a little bit more spicy.
I think I'm kind of interested as well going into this. Obviously, it's the global championship. These teams aren't going to be super familiar other than the scrims that they've maybe done, but I mean, we don't really know too much about what's happened there.
What I've heard, the scrims, as of time of recording, on Thursday, the scrims haven't started yet and are not expected to start until Saturday the 29th. So that's like 2 days before the event. So there's a lot of shit to try and figure out in 2 days of games for scrims. So I expect the first day of group stage to be kind of messy. While teams still sort out, like, drop spots, hot drops are more than likely not going to be resolved entirely. So there's going to be some shenanigans.
I was kind of going to touch on that in a minute, because I mean, coming into a global championship, there's only so much that you can actually prepare for. And that first week of groups is going to be all up in the air. To make it into the top 8 there, I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you aren't able to adapt quickly, you're screwed. You're going down to the losers bracket, and then there's the potential you end up going straight home after that. But so obviously opening up the tournament, we're going to be starting with the group stage. But I mean, we kind of want to take a look at that, because being splitting the top teams from all around the world into 2 groups, you're kind of destined to have a bit of an imbalance. And I think that when we look at the comparisons between Group A and Group B, there are arguments to be made for, okay, this group is more stacked, but at the same time, there's also the argument to be made for, okay, well, maybe Group B, these teams are going to have a bit more chance to practice. It isn't just going to be kind of a stomp right off the bat. They'll have a chance to kind of get things going.
I think everyone's pretty much on the same page that A is stronger. I've already said this on Twitter, and I'll say it again. I feel like it's much harder to predict than just looking at the teams' names and figuring out sort of, okay, this is the stronger teams. We have a lot of teams in Group A as well that you have absolutely no idea how they're going to perform, I feel like. We have an Entropic, we have Overpeakers, who haven't looked hot at all recently. Same for Na'Vi, just coming out of Europe. And then you have other teams, like you have a Sonics, for example, who comes out of NA and looks dominant at NA, but you never know how they're going to do at Worlds, because playing NA is a completely different ball game. So I'm in the camp that people should not overstate the difference between the 2 groups. I think the difference in drop spots in the groups is going to be way more interesting than the actual teams that are in those rosters.
I'm kind of looking at Group A, and I think like this is the group where there's a lot of teams that have the potential to come out and win this group, but they also, a lot of the same teams have the potential to go directly into losers bracket. So as much as we're like, this one looks like it's going to be top heavy, we're fully expecting teams like Twisted Minds and New Happy to come out and kind of walk the group. There's a lot of other teams that have the potential to be on a similar level to that, but also have the potential to just be completely in the bin, and it's like impossible to predict which side of those teams you're going to see. Whereas Group B, I think you've got a lot more teams where they're a little more like consistently unpredictable, I guess, in a sense. So it's not like if you look at a team like Na'Vi, they either come out and they absolutely shit stomp a tournament or they get 14th place.
Yeah.
Whereas like Group B, it's you got teams like Polish Power, like your FaZe clans, where it's like one game they're getting 18 kill wins and then they're spending the next 4 games in 16th place. So Group B, the mid pack is going to be way harder. And actually, Toby on his analysis streams probably put it the best way I've heard it said, where it's like Group A is a lot harder to get into the top 3. But Group B is much harder to get top 8.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think that middle of the pack is going to be the defining point. We keep touching on the format, but I think it's a fair point to make that it can just go back at any time. Like, just because you do well in the groups doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything. If anything, it just means you have more opportunities to play and not really much time to prepare. I mean, even when we look at week 2 after the winners bracket ends, you've got losers bracket, losers bracket. If you're in the bottom 16 after the group stages, you've got a lot of games to play, which not only gives you less time to prepare, but you've also got to think every other team is kind of looking at you moving forward to that one. But I mean, when we open things up, it's going to be interesting. We still haven't had the scrims, so we don't really know how drop spots are going to work out. But I mean, with the predictions that we've been given and the drop maps that have been put out so far, I think that going into, group stages and even all the way into winners, losers brackets, when the lobbies are constantly changing, hot drops are just going to be big and they're going to start out strong. And there's only 6 days to really rectify that.
So I think a lot of the teams that are expected to do really well, especially in Group A, are in a weird spot for drop spots. And like last PGC, Sonics got absolutely clapped by hot dropping 17 Gaming every time. Sonics has potentially 3 teams. Like Overpeakers is most likely not going to contest Pachinki Picado. SGD probably will, because they really have nothing to lose. So Sonics is likely going to be contested. 17 is just going to walk their group, I think. Like, no one's contending that. But I think before we go quite so hard into like looking at drop spots in depth, I'm looking at like the way that they've seeded these groups. So it's Asia first seed, America first seed, EU second seed, APAC second seed in Group A, and then vice versa in Group B. The big standout to me is if we look at like the way that PGC points have worked in all of the regions across the years, across the year as a whole, and all the different tournaments. How the fuck are we considering EU's first seed? That makes no sense to me at all. Like, obviously the direct qualification from PCS 7, cool, but like, I don't think there's anyone out there in their right mind is looking at Twisted Mind and going, that's a worse team. Question mark. Like, that is blatantly the EU first seed. I think that's where a lot of the inherent like Group A is stronger ideology comes from, because you just look at the top row and you think, okay, there's 3 teams that are like undeniably best in their region, and then you look at Group B and it's like, okay, there's a couple of teams that are like second best in their region. There's Daytrade, which is the best in like the worst region, and then Question Mark, who did literally nothing for the first half of this year but just popped off in one event, and you really can't rely on that. That is a very weird state for the top groups to be.
I was doing that spreadsheet to like calculate PGC points, and I just said, all right, winning PCS 7 is 1,000 PGC points. I was like, okay, this is kind of representable, right? Because it guarantees you. And Question Mark got those 1,000 points and still had less than NLT.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
It's crazy how dominant NLT was and to be put in second spot. But then I was thinking about it when you said this, and it's like, how do you do that differently? Do you just complicate the format to a point where we say you're guaranteed, but you only get an equivalent of 800 PGC points, or like
legitimately, if they completely scrapped the direct qualification from PCS 7 from all regions and just gave it, let's say, like 550 points or something like that, because PCS 6 was 450, 550 for like PCS 7. It seems about reasonable.
You're guaranteed anyways, right?
Yeah, like
that way.
More like, yeah, there's no region where it changes anything other than in Europe. So legitimately, like, if you just give the points over to Sonics rather than direct qualification, they get first seed anyway. Daytrade's first seed anyway. New Happy is first seed anyway. It's only in Europe that it changes, and it puts question mark, depending on how many points you apply to it, either second or third seed, which puts them, you know, in the opposite group anyway. So the only thing that changes is Northern Lights / Twisted Minds would be swapped groups with question mark. And I think just doing that alone in a lot of people's minds would make the group look a lot more balanced.
Yeah. I think also it never disqualifies a team, right? You're never going to get 550 PGC points and not make it to PGC. So like it's a guaranteed spot still. It's just the points get counted correctly. So I guess
it's such a weird edge case because Northern Lights were so good throughout the whole year, so consistently like
and
top of their game.
So bad. They had 50 PGC points. Yeah,
it's so weird, but I don't know.
Okay, so we spoke a little bit about the drop spots earlier. Let's maybe circle back to that one real quick, because I know that Group B is looking pretty contested in a couple areas, but I mean, specifically down in that southwest area, there's a lot of teams dropping for a very small amount of space, and I mean, that makes groups so unpredictable.
I like tweeted about this as soon as these drop maps came out, but I have never in a global event of this stature seen 4 teams potentially contesting for Primorsk. It's absolutely wild. Petrichor Road and Daytrade as well. So like 2 top teams from their region that are so far away from what would generally be considered priority drop spots as well, both playing from the southwest, edge heavy style, whatever. And then you've got Question Mark, who absolutely stomped EU as well. So maybe Primorsk is like the new hotness. Wildcard also there to fight for it as well. But then you look over in Group A, literally no team is going there, so who knows what's going on. But then you've got like a 3-way clash for like farm ferry pier area. There's a whole lot that needs to be sorted out, and we talked about scrims not starting yet, so there is not a lot of time for people to find alternatives.
It's unfortunate for the teams because, like you said, 3 teams in farm area. I think for teams that like to play edge, like a Question Mark for example, won't have a problem to relocate from Primorsk. They just land somewhere else on the edge. But like having 3 teams in farm, or having, even in the group where Twisted Minds is not playing, you have 2 teams in Power Grid, Pero and Wildcard. And then you'll have Twisted Minds, if they make it out of groups, they will want to loot Power Grid. And they've already talked that they've been preparing the last few months to hot drop Power Grid. So that's definitely going to be like a focal point on Miramar. And there's not a whole lot of time for these teams, like we said, to sort this out, because it's just instantly go into the losers bracket instantly is the risk of going out of the tournament.
So that's the other thing as well, is the switching of brackets. There's not a day break in between like winners bracket and then losers bracket and then losers and then grand final and grand survival rather.
There's no prep.
Literally like, there is not really much time for scrims other than pre-game, and you're going to get maybe like 2 or 3 64-player team deathmatches in to try and organize yourselves some of the most important games. Literally the second day of week 2 or the second set of games in week 2 is an elimination game. Like if you come last, you're out of the tournament. So you really don't have the time. So basically everyone has to sort it out now for their group, and then they've got Monday next week to figure out what's going on during the upper and lower bracket stuff, and it's going to be wild, man.
Okay, last point now on the drop spot thing, I think, is this San Martin over in Group B. What's going on there? Because we're looking at potentially 4 teams all landing around the same location. Hacienda, San Martin. Then we've got Wildcard and Petrichor Road both going to be hot dropping for Power Grid. I mean, it seems kind of deceptive because the logos are smaller on the map, but I mean the number of squads there in what if they're all going for Hacienda?
Or LG say they hate Power Grid and they moved out of it?
Did
Well,
they? The drop spot might be outdated.
Dropping for now.
I mean, sorry.
I don't know because
I thought they moved
I'm
out of it for
thinking
NA.
I'm going back a couple years, but do you remember when like SDK was just hard dropping against 4am and they were like running it down literally every single game? If they're going to be stubborn and try to claim it, I expect Donuts will just leave. I don't really expect them to be a team that will stick around and fight. TE, on the other hand, they legitimately ran it down so hard against Attack All Around that Attack All Around didn't qualify for PCS 7. So, like, who knows? Like, they are, again, another very stubborn team, but there is space available. Like, no one's going Los Leones. Cruz de Valle is not too far away. Impala, free. So there's space for people to go to, but it's all just about, like, kind of pride and kind of just wanting to prove yourself on the global scale. And I think that for particularly APAC teams, there is a lot that is there to be proven. So it comes down to whether LG wants to try and take that fight, I think.
I don't think they want to. They haven't been looting it for a while in NA. So I think the drop map from Blame is as fantastic as they are. I don't think it's correct in that regard unless they change back into it, which is possible. I'm just saying I'm not 100% sure that they'll actually fight for it because Gunner and Purdy both said they hate it and they hate playing from there. So maybe they'll figure out something else.
Yeah, I mean, a point I kind of wanted to make there, though, is the fact that if it does end up being LG against the Expendables, I mean, Expendables aren't moving. I think LG can pretty confidently clean up that fight in theory, but we also haven't touched on the fact that there is so many unpredictable factors, and I think a key one there is the fact that APAC is a very different region to everything else we see in any region for PUBG. I mean, there are so many differences in terms of the way fights are taken. And I think a squad like Expendables versus a squad like LG, that is like NA meta versus APAC meta in a nutshell.
It's a rough one, for sure. Like, I really don't know, because TE has a lot of practice with hot dropping. They do it all the time against Attack All Around in any tournament that they're both in. I mean, even in Vietnam, they end up fighting early most of the time, and they will die for a drop spot. Like, they do not care. They will fully run it down. And I'm kind of expecting the same thing from SGD in Group A for Pachinki Picado. Like, again, they're coming in, they have nothing to lose, and they have a lot to prove. Whereas Sonics, like, they have to bounce back from last year's performance because that was ass, and they know it. So they have to make sure that this year is not a repeat of that. So it comes down to, like, okay, are they going to be stubborn and stick to it and risk having the same thing happen again? Whereas SGD, that's already like a mind game that's in their favor, plus the fact that they know they're cracked on individual mechanical basis, which is like a hot drop is where that matters the most. So yeah, there's a lot that we can't really predict, but we just know it's going to be spicy.
It's going to be wild. It's just the best sort of PUBG that you'll see is when you mix the regions together, because you just have no idea what's going to happen. I can't wait, to be honest. Should we move to the Twires? Yeah,
I was about to say that. Should we head over to the Twires? We should probably break down exactly what we're doing, because it's a little bit different to how I think we've done it a lot in the past. We're going to be doing a bit of a draft style thing, so instead of us all just picking a team at random, once a player has been picked by one of us, it's not available to anyone else. So before we started recording, we've already pre-rolled it. The order for the first round of picks is going to be Saga, me, Kovo, then Kovo again, then me, then Saga. So that's going to be the first round. So Saga, please don't steal the player that I think you know I want in Group A.
There's so many.
So who's your opening pick here?
So Group A, like we said, is stacked at the top end. But I'm taking Ming Ming. That's my pick,
no!
number one. Yoink.
Is that your captain?
Your first pick will have to be your captain.
It doesn't have to be, but it makes sense.
You want it to be someone else. If you want it to be someone else, you can change it.
We don't have to choose that until we have the roster locked in, because we might have someone in mind that Kolo is going to steal him before we get there. Who knows? But I'm taking Ming Ming. That's my pick one.
Okay, Ming is going in. Okay, it's my turn next. All right, I'm gonna take a big gamble here, and it's because this guy's cracked. There's no other way to put it. He is an absolute beast, but I'm scared because it's his first LAN that I'm aware of, and that's going to be Shen. Okay, Shen is one of those players who... What, were you going to grab him?
We just talked about him hot dropping.
No, look, I know he's hot dropping, but...
It's only versus Sonics, dude.
Yeah, look,
that's fair, it's fair.
As much as I don't want to disrespect Sonics, they are a team that last year did not perform as expected, and I think that coming into, you know, the global championship against a squad like SGD, I genuinely think that they could face some serious trouble and potentially get pressured out, because look, for a squad like SGD that came into PCS not expecting to get anything, just hoping to maybe make it to the final, they already have nothing to lose by being here. I think the bar is low for them, but the potential is just so high. So I had to lock in Shen early, because that kid is cracked, even though he's only cheap.
Yeah.
Hey man, it's your funeral.
We'll see. All right, Kovo.
My first pick is boring. I'm going Perfectix.
Oh,
I just want a Twisted Minds player on my squad, and he's been so consistent. I think there's not a... Twisted Minds is the only squad where I'm like 90% sure they'll do well. Every other squad, I'm not 100%, so I'll pick Perfectix.
Would you like him as your captain?
I think I'll make him my captain. I think the choice is really hard, but if you're paying more money for a player, you're expecting him to get more points, right? So you should, in theory, have your most expensive player your captain, unless you really, really, really think a cheaper option is a better player. So I'm going for Perfectix as my captain for sure.
So you two have put me in a really tricky position here, because Ming and Perfectix were my two options for captain. I haven't actually picked anyone else there, so I'm gonna have to
just pick your captain at the end, I think.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tricky one. But those were like the two big money players that I picked, so yeah, that's a tough one for me. Anyway, Kovo, because you went last,
my second one.
Because you get last, you get to go again.
Yes.
But
why?
Okay.
Why is everyone picking Na'Vi players?
I think Example is so cracked. Even when Navi was absolutely terrible, he was still a decent fantasy pick, and I believe.
30K?
Yes.
Oh my. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No, you know what?
I also I'm trying to build a full EU roster, so.
Okay. So we're not being biased. Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'm in a...
Understandable. That's fine. I'll allow it.
So I'm gonna have to quickly make this one on the fly, and it's gonna be a tricky one, and I just have to go with a player that I know is good at getting damage, but we've already spoke about what happened with Sonics last year, and I'm really concerned. But I'm gonna put Tig in for 35k. It's not ideal, and I am gonna have to change as well, because I mean Shrimsy was originally on my roster. I'm gonna put Tig in. I'm not sure how that'll work out. I think that in the later stages of the tournament, that's where a player or a team like Sonics will shine in terms of the fantasy. I'm just concerned about the early stages. I think that's the only reason I'm not hesitating. And I think I'm going to set him as my captain.
That's quite funny, because you've basically guaranteed yourself -3 points every game.
Thanks. Oh, you know what? You're right. I have, and I've just locked him in.
It happens. Yeah, you're being a risky man.
Oh God, what have I done? I wasn't thinking about that. Okay. All right. Well, while Saga picks, I'm gonna go and try and find another player, because oh my God, this has become a mess right now.
Yeah. Okay. So just to clarify, am I picking 2 here, or am I picking 1 and then we reverse?
You're picking 1. You're picking 1.
Shit. Okay. Right. In that case, I'm going to oh shit, Shen's 15k. You might have been right, actually.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
Not bad. But you know who else is like very undercosted? Nail Up. He's cheaper than Shen. 14k.
That would have 100% be my next pick. I think I should have picked him before Example as well.
So I was I was gonna go Nail Up and somebody else, but like I knew he was gonna be. So I am now with Ming Ming and Nail Up. I've spent 50.7k, which is like half my budget, and that is
I hate you.
A banger position to be in.
All right, my next pick then is Luca Rooks, because he's cracked.
Reason, I guess.
He's cracked. He's cheap. and he doesn't get the damage Nalop gets, but he gets a lot of kills a lot of the time. And I had to pick one of the Entropic boys. I just could not go without one, so that's my pick.
Okay, so is it my turn next? Yeah,
it's your turn.
Okay. Well, first, have you adjusted your first round?
Okay, so what I've had to do is I had a spreadsheet where I was keeping track of everything. Now I've just put it all into Twire. I've hit. This is the worrying thing. I am dead on 100k with this new roster. That's so good. This could cause. It sounds good, but it could cause some problems if one of you picks the cheaper player I've gone with. Then I'm going to be in a lot of trouble.
I don't think I'm picking a player you've gone with.
Okay.
I think my fourth pick is not going to be something anyone else wants.
Then I'm going to have to go for one that I'm going to throw out there. I'm going to go with Clib.
Right.
Okay, for 32k. I know it's a lot of cash, but this was not the player I planned on putting in, but looking at the changes that I've had to made and the players that I've had to take out, I think that Clib is going to be probably a better replacement for them than just anybody else I could pull out randomly. So I'm going to be locking in Clib as my third
player.
If
OP do well, Clib's going to be a good pick.
So you're on Shen, Tiggleton, and Clib.
Yeah. Okay. And then
double time.
So you have like no money left.
No, I don't. This is why I'm very concerned, because one of you guys could absolutely screw me over here.
Imagine if we pick his player.
This is why I'm very worried with Saga.
I want to snipe whatever Chunks is picking.
Calculate how much it costs.
You know the problem. I just realized if one of you guys,
that would be glorious.
If one of you guys takes this player, I might have to go with a sub.
Yeah. So as a resident APAC enjoyer, I'm kind of spoiled for choice here. I want a T5 player.
Okay.
But what I think I'm going to do instead, I'm putting Tycon in. Tycon goes in my team. He is marked as a sub. But there is no way they're not playing him.
Yeah.
The guy was the top fragger in APAC.
All right.
10k for a guy who got 63 kills.
I mean, you could have spent 10k on a guy that's called Rick. You know?
I know, yeah, but he's an actual coach. And I actually couldn't because I already have New Happy on my team. But the issue with picking Tycon is that I physically cannot spend 100k now.
Okay. I mean, it is what it is.
So I can't pick Zibyani, whatever, because I already have Ming Ming.
Yeah.
I can't take Tig.
Yeah.
Could take either Shrimzy or Pio are like the only options. Or
I don't think you're picking Pio, right?
This is what I mean. So the other alternative is I don't take Tycon and I take a T5 player. Like Exgrozit would probably be the one that I want. He's the cheapest for some reason. And that
just go with your gut.
Did you already pick Perfectix?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm just this is hard.
Pick it.
I'm going Tycon.
All right.
Locked in.
And
Spyro kind of ran it down a little bit in EU.
Spyro ruined my EU fantasy.
Yeah. I'm between Lou. I think I'm going Shrimzy. I'll take Shrimzy.
You go with Shrimzy. All right.
I'll take Shrimzy as my fourth.
Okay. Now that you've got your 4 players, who would you like to be your captain?
Ming.
Okay.
He's captain.
Sounds good. Okay, so your roster is all locked in now. Is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's your turn to pick your last player.
Okay. Oh, this is gonna be tough. I am gonna go with Hasaki.
All right.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of a risky play. Obviously Cerberus such a strong team when their time comes. I'm not sure how they'll perform at the global scale. I mean, we spoke earlier about the APAC versus everywhere else meta. I think that Hasaki can put up some serious numbers and get me the points I need, but you know, obviously I've had to change things last minute. There's a lot up in the air here. I'm definitely going to prepare more going into the next phase.
All right. Who's your captain, Chunks?
My captain's going to be Tig. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm spending
sense.
35k on him.
Yeah.
Ooh, hear me out, though. If Tig is going to be hot dropping Shen, would I rather go Tig or would I rather go Clib as my captain?
If I were you, I'd still go Tig, just because he's an absolute ADR farmer.
Just
and
pull up that
fantasy
drop
loves
spot again real quick.
Yeah.
Because I think the drop spot is going to decide it for me.
I mean,
They're
you've already
both
picked
yeah.
both sides
Oh
of
my
the hot
god,
drop.
no, I'm so stupid.
You've picked all three.
Overpeakers are not going, guys. There's no way.
This is
There's
why
no way
this is why I need to start paying attention to drops because earlier on when you guys were talking them, my eyes just kind of glassed over. Oh my god, what have I done? Okay, yeah. I'm gonna go with Tig as the captain.
So you've also picked Clib, who is like the bolty player, which is not getting as much damage as DMR. Right?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go Tig as the
BCS.
captain. I think Tig will put up the numbers I need for that ADR because that's,
It's
in
also-
my experience, what boosts your points up.
Fantasy is all about go big or go home,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So if you're picking Tig and
screwed
Shen,
myself.
then picking Tig as the captain is fine.
Yeah.
I'm going with Vard for my last one.
Okay.
He fits my budget. He's EU and he's super cracked. He's not a
They
damage
have to
farmer at
update
all.
his picture, surely.
Yeah, he's always got that picture on Twire.
He's
It's
getting a
rough.
new one at Media Day. Please
rough.
do my
Yeah.
boy a favor.
All right. I'm going to lock in that team then.
Yeah.
As much.
Sounds
Oh, I need to
good.
set a captain. Oh, yeah, that's Tig. Cool.
But yeah, it's Tig.
Okay.
All right.
Who starts off for Group B then?
Koa gets first pick. Group B.
First
We
pick.
reverse the order.
I want to pick Anonyx.
Okay. Big name early on.
Yeah. I like all of my 4 picks, so I wasn't sure which one was most likely to get taken away, but I went with Anonyx.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, it's a strong player.
He's also just a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm-
that's true.
See, I have a couple of
100%.
options for the way that I could go about this, and I really have to hope that none of you guys actually pick the players that I want.
Yeah.
Because I
Is-
played.
There's a 0% chance I get to pick the 4 players I want to pick. I feel
It's
like.
it is interesting. Like both of us went for like high value players on the first round, and then immediately went for like low value undercosted players.
Yeah.
So if you did that first, that would be a spicy one. But I have 2 picks, so I'm definitely doing both. for what
Yeah.
it's worth.
I think for me, right now, I'm going to lock in one of my more expensive players, which is going to be Fex. Yeah. and that's why I've chose Fex.
yeah, it makes sense.
in terms of,
I
like,
knew I wasn't gonna
ADR,
get through with all
Yeah.
of them.
In terms of
The
ADR, I
E-Waves.
mean, he's just out there. Like no one's gonna touch him. So yeah, that's my pick for
That's a banger pick.
and I think he's
That's
if
good.
everything goes to plan, I think he's probably going to be my captain as well.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, I haven't gone through and like made preliminary teams in the way that it seems like you have.
Oh, I have.
So I'm fully winning it.
I was just playing
however-
Moneyball.
Yeah, I'm splashing some cash on my first pick. Shu is getting the lock in.
Okay.
Alright.
17 Gaming are going to absolutely slap that group with no one contesting them. And then dude, some the low cost picks in this group are actually whack.
Yeah. I think that you got much better value in Group A than you get in Group B. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am going to put Norins as my second pick.
Okay.
Solid.
All right. So that leaves me again.
Yes.
I'm actually pretty happy. I think that I've got the best like position to be able to pick in here, just because I managed to get a decent player before they were all gone, and I've also managed to do the same now. So I'm gonna put in a Luke 12 here.
Reasonable.
I mean, Luke on LAN is just a different beast. You got to think everything he does with LG is on like what 150, 200 ping. Like when he's on LAN, he's just a different player. It feels like, and it's just so impressive.
I
Yeah.
am scared that I'm gonna have to put a Polish power player on my team.
Oh,
Yeah. And
Oh,
so the
so
way it works
expensive.
now is, wait, when am I picking? I'm picking.
it's
now,
your turn
right?
now. Yeah.
Yeah. and then it swaps.
And then it's
So then it goes
Saga,
back to me.
Chunks, me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in that case, I'll be picking Cappy because
Okay.
I don't want him to get stolen.
You
And
dog.
I think I'm scared to pick another Polish power player. I think he's the cheapest and he's got the highest pop-off potential. He's cracked, and it's a gamble, but it's a gamble for 13k. So you take those.
I mean, pretty reasonable.
Who is in the group that's cheaper than that? Like, wow.
All right, Saga, is it your turn next?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going anywhere near Take Me Away or BBL.
Yeah. Reasonable.
I'll go Nikus.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought about that too.
All right.
He was actually one
the
that
OCE gang.
He's actually a player I considered putting in as well.
How much does that leave me with?
I just think.
Oh god.
I think Nikos and Gregshot are both really good players with good
Uh-huh.
value as well. But
Wait, is it my turn?
it's your turn, yeah.
Okay, thank God, because I thought you were going to lock in Greg Shot, and that's my pick.
No. You pick. I just wanted to say I thought about picking that too, but I'm a little bit scared about how Wildcard will do in this lobby.
So am I. But look, I mean, Greg has been around for a while. It's not his first LAN experience. Like, I think when you look at a squad like Wildcard and you look at it as a roster, it's not a team that you would expect to be that experienced. But when you look at it as actual players and individuals, Greg is one of those guys who's really level-headed, who's been around for a while. And I mean, looking all the way back to, I believe, NPL, he's got LAN experience, which is something that a team like Wildcard really need. And I think it's the same reason I'm so optimistic about SGD going forward, because they've got people like Saphir on the squad who can kind of keep those younger players and less experienced players in line. And I think Greg is going to do a really good job of that. And I think he's really going to be impactful for his team more than a lot of other players would be.
I think it's a good pick. I think the hot drop that they'll have or the loot spot switch is a little bit sus, but it's a good pick. I got 2 picks now. And I have replaced Vex with Diggory. I think he's also a really good option on FaZe. He's not as consistent, but he's a super good player and a super good pick.
How much cash have you got left?
And after that, I have about 20k left, and I'm picking Puchus because I think day trade is cracked, and I think he used to be cracked.
Wait, hold on. You had how much left?
I had like 21k left or something.
He's 16k. I just realized.
No, I have.
This is your last pick.
I have $100. I would need $100 more to buy Belmoth.
Oh, okay, that is painful.
Yeah, I would have thought about it, but
I mean,
my choice was basically Nico's Greg shot, and that's not really a choice anymore. And then pick a question mark player or pick Pujus, and I went for Pujus.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's time for my final pick, right? I'm gonna have to refer over to my sheet to see what I can afford here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at.
Yeah, it's a close one. So let me see. That player that I was gonna pick is literally like $100 out of the question, and I'm not gonna say it just in case Saga comes and poaches it because I don't know what his cash is looking like. But looking at the players that I can actually afford and going through all of them that I think are gonna perform well, I am going to go with Marslick. I know it's a risky one picking a squad like Polish Power, who, I mean, nobody expected to be here. It's kind of the SGD story. But I think that Marslick, for his squad, is a very strong player. He's got a level head again. It comes down to, do you have that experience? Do you have the confidence? And I'm looking for players who, specifically in the group stages, have that LAN experience and are kind of proven at this level and can keep calm under pressure, because I think there's going to be a lot of teams that have never been to LAN before, that have never competed for this amount of cash before, who they are going to have. I mean, everyone's going to have nerves, but I think that there's a couple of players who maybe on Polish Power I wouldn't want to go with, whereas Marslick, I feel like he's just a reliable name. At the same time, though, Polish Power, in terms of consistency, that's not something we see often. So I'm hoping they just step up big to start off.
So I think like we said about this group is it's going to be up and down. So there's going to be a lot of teams that have really good games and a lot of teams that have really shit games. And I think BBL, when they do have really good games, they have really good games, but they have a lot of shit games in between.
And Smash is the one killing
Smash is
people
part of the reason why. So I will put Smash on my team over Eddie because I think IGL was like anti-buff for fantasy. Like as much as Canaxi is more the support player, Eddie. Yeah. I'm taking Smash. I'll put Smash in. I'll lock that.
Nice.
Okay, so that's the teams locked in. Saga, Kovo, you wanted Inonix as your captain, right?
Yeah.
And then Saga, who do you want as your captain?
Blatantly Shu.
Okay, just making sure. But yeah, that's everything locked in. Here are the final choices. I'll put them on screen now so everyone can see. But that's it. PGC starts in a couple of days. I don't think there's much more we can really read into this one now, right?
I think we gotta wait for it to kick off. I think no one's like super happy about the team they got, which is fun. I think this drafting thing is gonna make us all perform worse in fantasy. But, I think it's good content for sure, and I'm hopeful about my Group A team. I'm not so sure about my Group B roster, to be honest.
Saga, how are you feeling about it?
Question, would now be a good time to find out that I actually had a hotkey to stop recording on OBS that I didn't know about?
What?
There's no fucking way.
Well, yeah, the past 15 minutes, my camera hasn't been recording because apparently delete was a hotkey to stop
We'll just
recording.
put other shit on screen.
Okay, so yeah, what I'm going to say at this point
during the fantasy
is for anyone who is wondering where Saga's camera has been, that's the reason why.
Just put the picture there.
But
I've deleted the hotkey now.
All
so
right.
This is only going to be an issue this time.
All right.
Like we
outside
said,
of that, though, Saga, yeah. Outside of that
podcast.
one, let me ask, how do you feel about your team, though?
So I've taken risks on both of them. Obviously, Tycon, if he's playing, is the opposite of a risk. If he's not playing, then he's 10k wasted. But I don't feel that bad about wasting 10k. I did speak to some of the Cerberus staff and ask for the insider knowledge, and they said they don't know until they start scrims. And I'm like, it's a yes. Like the kid is nuts. He's playing, and also Smash is on my other team. So I feel like I'm happy with I'm pretty happy with my picks, but you can definitely feel the effect of the NFL style draft where it's like we all kind of got blocked a little bit from something that we wanted.
Yeah, I think it makes it more exciting though. Should we do the same next phase after we are done with groups? Let's get together again. Sure. Maybe put out another video. But yeah, that's it for us. Socials for everyone are going to be in the description below.
Private
make sure
leaderboard for fantasy.
Oh yeah, link for the private leaderboard and the password. So make sure to join that. If you want to, follow the same rules as we did, where you can only pick players that we didn't, go for it. But I'm not going to suggest it, but I'm going to say it would be exciting to see if anyone could do better than us.
I would suggest if you want to do that, do it the way that me and Kowo have done and just pick players that Chunks didn't pick.
Yeah,
which I think
because otherwise they're all going to get hot dropped.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
What is wrong with me? Anyway, look, we'll see how it goes. There could be an absolute miracle here, and after game number 1, all of those teams that are hot dropping somehow magically back off of each other. I'm holding out for it. But look, that's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. Enjoy PGC. Starts in a few days. Have fun, and we'll see you next time.
More episodes soon.